Hi everybody, thanks for watching. This video, what I'm going to do is make a flashing start light for me, for the diorama I'm doing for the rally stage. For this that I've started, I've got a video on there of how I've done this from start to where it is now. So what I'm going to do is build a flashing light, a red, 2 greens, and then a red, 2 ambers, 2 yellows, and then a green. So they're all going to flash independently, but it's going to give a rough idea of like a starting light type thing for rally stage. And I'll fit that somewhere around here, this sort of area, so the driver can look across to it as they're going to the starting thing there. And then I'll do a video on wiring it all up to this. But this video today is just going to be to build this light that I've got in my head that I want to build. So, because I've got this the other day, the what's it called? Helping hands. The helping hands thing. I can solder. I can do all my things a lot easier now. Everything's going to be a lot easier to solder up and do all that. So I'm using some board. I'm using some board, Vera board it's called. I've got some Vera board to put my LEDs through, to solder my LEDs to. I've got some brass tube and I've got a brass plate. Now I want this brass plate, but I need to keep that bit of the moulding, so I'm only going to cut off so much. And I can drill through the middle of that, slide it down that shaft, and that's it sorted. So what I'll do is I'll solder this up and hopefully it'll all work. I'm not sure what colour that is, to be honest. So what I'll do is I'll put some wires on it and a resistor on it, and I can check my colour. I'll check my colour before I solder it to the board. So we've got a 510 ohm resistor. So if you remember me saying in the other videos, your long legs are your positive and your short legs are your negative. So this is the longest leg, I can clip that off there. In fact, I'll take that out, that Vera board. Shall I? No, I'll leave that in. I'll leave that in, that Vera board. And clip my resistor down. Put a bit of liquid flux on there. So I'm using 510 ohm resistor because you need that. Your LED is not 12 volts, it's only 1.5 volts. So you need to put the resistor in to drop your voltage down from 12 volts down to 1.5. an alt system. The whole my layout system runs off 12 volt 5 amp system, so everything's all wired to suit. That's the only bit of aero board I've got left. Just a little copper clad sleeper, copper clad over at top. It's all cut. You can see lines in between, so each line's insulated from each other, and all holes are all together in lines all the way down. So on this little square board I'll put all negatives and all positives on the same lines. So I've got my black cable, silicon wire again, and it's 22 AWG. That's very thin. That's thin wire. I can strip that back. Shove that, flux it. Cut, tin my wire. Flux it again. And solder it to short side. That's on the short side of my LED. And get a bit of red. Flux that. And flux it again. Put that on my resistor. So that now is my positive negative. So get my power supply. I'll turn that round there so you can see it. That's a flashing green, so I need to put that one at the bottom. So I need a flashing red, and I've got some flashing ambers. So now if I unsolder that, unsolder that resistor. Now I know what colour it is. That's sorted. So it was laid on the side. I didn't know what colour it was. So on my Vero board there, putting positives down outside, negatives down second one, and I'll cut that off. So what I'll do is I'll cut that off first. I use my little baby vise for this job. So I'll cut through that, just on that line in between. You do need a very small, thin blade for cutting this, because you don't want to go into any other holes. You want to cut it as straight as possible, and only cut it. You need to cut it down that insulation line. Now that's getting quite hard to cut. Right, and that's it. That's all I'm going to use for my light. So put that back in me. Put that back in my open hands. Turn that mirror that way so it weighs it down that way. So I only want 4 holes, which is there. So if I put my flashing green in the bottom 2 holes, like so. So with this, I'm going to be very careful with how I'm soldering it. I want a minimum amount of solder on the iron. In fact, I'll put my 25 on. I'll put my 25 on because she's got a nice little tip on there. I'll just wait for that to warm up. I'll go and get my other LEDs while I'm waiting. I'm back in a minute. Right, I've got my LEDs all sorted. I can only fit 3 on, so it's going to have to be a red, an amber and a green. So all you've got to do is put a bit of flux on. Flux your joint. Get a bit of solder on your iron. You've got to hold the LEDs square to the board. I want a bit more flux than that, a bit more solder than that, I mean. And that's that negative soldered on that line there. So you can solder those other lines. So same again. Flux it. Plenty of solder. The other thing what I've had to do with this as well is file the ends. At the end of the LED you've got a little lip, a very tiny little lip on the LED. I've had to file that off so that they all fit. So that they all fit side by side in this board. So that's all of them soldered, and you can see that there's a line between them all. So so that insulated line, that board, keeps them all fully insulated. You can see it there running between two, so it can't short circuit. So now I can snip them legs off. That's all negative legs snipped off. So I can solder my positive legs on. So now one side's already soldered. I can just get my 1mm solder. And now this side you can't put too much on because you don't want to be joining it with solder. So solder will jump across, will bridge the gap, which you don't want to do. Okay. Yeah, so it's all them soldered. So I can snip them off as well. So that's all them snipped off. So what I need to do now is I need to break that copper clad there. So what I'll do I can get my knife. I can just dig it in. Right, so now I've broken that copper clad there as well. Right, focusing. Now, you can just see under this negative here, that's just broken off there. So, because I'm going to solder my post to the bottom of this. So now I need to solder my negative lead on. Get my cable. My cable that I tinned before, I can use that. And flux it. And just solder it onto this bottom LED just here. Right, so that's on there now. Right. So that's how much I can do this 25 watt iron now. I just need to make my post. So I've got my tube, I've got my brass. So I'll cut my brass square down. And that'll be a second. Right, so I've chopped my brass square. That's going to be my base of my post. Just neaten them edges off. Don't really matter if they're not neat because I'm going to blend it in. I'm going to blend it into the baseboard anyway. So you're not going to see a square basically at the bottom. So I'll just get this off. This one's squaring off, so I can file it. Squaring off so I can solder it. I need to drill a hole the size of my tube in the middle. Once I've drilled that hole in my tube, then hole in my square, I'll be able to insert my brass tube and solder it. So I'll just find a drill bit for this. Right, I found my drill bit. I've drilled my hole in my little plate. And I've got my post. It don't fit. It's a little bit tight. I don't know if people can remember, but from what I said in the previous video, what you need to do is, when you want to drill a hole you get your size of your tube, in this case size of my tube, measure it with calipers, and you've always got to go a couple of thousandths of a mil bigger. So this tube's 4.88 mil in diameter. I found a drill bit, it was 4.9. So I've fitted it, I've got my brass tube, got my brass square, and it fits, but it's tight, very, very tight, which can be a good thing, and it also can be a bad thing, because it won't slide up my pole very well, up my tube very well. I need to cut this tube down to the length I want, so I can solder my head onto my tube. So what I'll do is, to make that easier to go in there, I've got a reamer. So this reamer I can shove through here, through my hole, and make my hole tapered. You can see it cutting it. So what the advantage of that is, when I decide to solder this together, I can put it, there you go, look how much easier that is now. So I can now solder that onto there, then solder will run into that gap. So my baseboard baseboard's 12 mil. So one piece of ply that's squashed it together is about, I think it's about 10 mil. So all I have to do now is put my post on there, find my square, wherever that's gone. Not smudge. Good boy. I've got my square, make sure that's square. It looks about right. And now I can get me a little blow lamp. So all I have to do is flux it, always flux it, let the flux run into the gap. And blow lamp somewhere. I'll be back in a second when I find my blow lamp. My little blow lamp. Fire it up. When that gets hot, starts hissing, and solder will run into that. In fact, that's not. I think I'm running out of gas. I'm back in a second. Right, I've soldered that. That's now soldered on there nicely. Well, it's half decent. So I'll just clean that. Clean that flux off of there. So then that's drilled onto the baseboard, and that's all. And with my lamp, that should look alright. So now I need to solder my light head onto the end of my tube. Right, so I've joined my top piece to my pole, soldering base on my pole, and I've soldered my LED, my resistor, onto my base, onto my tube. So that tube carries the power. So my power goes through me, from my cable, through my resistor, onto my tube, through LEDs and back down to a negative wire. So when we fire this up, that should work, provided I've done everything correctly. And it does. We've got all three lights up there flashing at separate times. Right, so my next job now is to make a shroud, make a cover that goes round all that. Yeah, they're flashing nicely. So that's my traffic light done. So in my next video I'll show you me fitting it and making a shroud to go around the whole thing, like just like a little cover, just a black box really, I suppose, to go around the whole thing, and then I can glue that on. That's about it guys for this video, I think. So that's one scratch built traffic light for the rally stage. Thanks for watching guys. If you I suppose like everybody said in their videos, if you like it, subscribe. If you like it, press like, and we'll get more of the same sort of stuff. I'll do projects, I can do requests. If somebody wants to something sorting out and doing, I can do that. Quite pleased with that. And I look well on this, on my diorama, that flashing away. Thanks guys, till next one, see you again.